It is football week, and you are listening to Birds vs. Boys, episode 6. I am your host, Kmess, who has become the Nostradamus of football lately. If you listen to our episodes in the past, I said that Leonard Fournette was going to end up in Tampa. Where'd he go? To the Bucs. And I also predicted that Clinton Dix was not going to make the Dallas Cowboys team. About 2 days later, he was cut. So that is me, the boy, and I'm going to kick it over to the bird, the one and only Aidan Powers.
What's good? Good to be back. You have been on an absolute tear, and it's the perfect timing because football season is back.
We're back, baby.
Look at us. Who would have thought? Not me.
We haven't talked coronavirus, it feels like, in a year, and I'm so excited.
It's out. Just like the rest of the country, who cares?
We're done.
We're just going to pretend it doesn't exist anymore. It is football season.
That's so.
I'm very excited. I didn't think we would get to this point, but here we are. Look at us. Who would have thought?
I'm just so excited. I mean, my wife, I have 2 fantasy drafts tonight. My wife's like, well, why do they both have to be tonight? I'm like, because the season starts tomorrow. She's like, oh, it's time. Shit.
I was, so for Labor Day weekend, I was away. I went on a little vacation. And I was in this like wooded area where a lot of trees, like a forestation going on.
Chipmunks,
all that, squirrels running around everywhere. But the leaves were starting to fall. Just a few here and there at night. It got a little bit crisp. You put a hoodie on at night. It's getting to that point.
I smelled somebody having a fire outside the other night.
A lot of bonfires going on when I was out there too. It's that time. It is football weather. We are back.
Let's go.
So here's the thing. Now that football is back, we're changing things up a little bit.
Very excited about this.
More content for you. And I like where this is going. And if anyone who's ever hosted a podcast knows this, the running joke is as soon as you put something out, it becomes old news because something else happens.
Yep.
So here's what we're going to do for football season. We're going to be doing 2 podcasts a week. They're going to be dropping Tuesday, Thursday. They're going to be condensed a little bit, so they'll be 30 to 40 minutes. But instead of just one episode where it's maybe like an hour a week, we're going to do 2. That way we can keep up with all the information going on within the season, whether it's game recap, looking forward to the week ahead, injuries, trades, everything like that. And we have some pretty significant interviews being lined up going forward. And we want to get those out because we have a ton of guests that we're looking to have on.
Yeah, I mean, big time names in the Dallas Cowboys world, big time names in the Philadelphia Eagles world, and big time names in just the NFL world in general, maybe even a former player or two. I mean, we're doing this for you guys. So we're really excited for that. And I'm super excited about 2 shows a week because, I mean, the Tuesday episode, we can talk about the week that just was, and the Thursday episode, we can prepare for the week to come. So we don't have to throw that all in one podcast, and then that comes out on Tuesday, and then Thursday, X player tests positive for COVID, he's not playing, and we can't talk about it because our podcast was already done.
Exactly. Yeah. We would give a upcoming prediction on Tuesday or Monday, whenever we dropped it. And then by Thursday, the whole quarterback room has coronavirus and Josh McCown's getting flown in from Texas to play the game. So
we'll just talk about it next week.
So this gives us a way to keep up, give more content, produce more interviews, because like we said, we have a ton of pretty substantial guests, pretty legitimate guests coming up. And we can keep up with all the news that is in the NFL because the NFL is the monster that keeps going no matter what. They went right through this pandemic, and we're here for the season.
And, I mean, we got news to talk about now, so we might as well just jump right into it. Week 1 news. Let's go.
Let's get it. Week 1. So do you want to start with the Eagles? Might as well.
Yeah, I mean, hey, why not? The Birds start the show. It is Birds versus Boys. So
we may have a new lineup for how we're producing the shows, but the Eagles remain the same. We're talking about the injury list. So today, Doug Peterson comes out. He says Miles Sanders, Lane Johnson, still iffy, might not play week 1. Now they were at practice, but still a little bit iffy. So we don't know if they're going to play this week, and it's the same old, but Jalen Reagor looking better ahead of schedule. So a lot going on in the Eagles world with the injury list, but some of it may seem positive, which is a rarity for us.
Yeah, I saw his little emoji tweet, the little face. I don't even know what that face is. And I mean, Twitter just blew up, especially Homer Simpson, AJ, part of Brandon Sports. He's like, "Let's go, Rager, week 1, 8 touchdowns." Like that's just what's happening now. He sends out one tweet with a face that may be conspicuous, and Jalen Reagor is back to being Julio Jones before week 1.
Back, baby. He's back to being Julio. I saw him put his helmet on. He is back to being Julio. I cannot wait. The show is back.
There it is.
He is not only, and he's not only practicing, he's returning punts. You would think, you have other wide receivers, but you only have one punt returner. So if he's doing the punt returning duties in practice, I don't know. He could be playing. The track to becoming Julio Jones starts on Sunday. And
the Cowboys currently have 3 punt returners on their depth chart this week that came out.
Who did?
The Cowboys have 3 on their depth chart.
That's just ridiculous. For that, there's no reason.
Trayvon Diggs, CeeDee Lamb, like we don't need all that. Just give me
Lamb
one.
not return punts.
I
know he kind of did at Oklahoma, but it's not going to happen.
We don't need that.
But Jalen Reagor is back to being
so
Julio Jones.
Are you putting him in week 1?
I am not putting him in week 1, even though I would. Common sense tells me that he's a rookie. He's your first round pick. You don't want to rush him back from a shoulder injury and have a bum shoulder get hurt worse. But I have not put common sense and the Eagles medical staff in many sentences together. So we could see him out there Sunday, 1:00, right on that shitty FedEx field, and I would not be shocked one bit. And I will throw caution to the wind and get hurt again.
I mean, the Eagles can beat this senseless Washington football team without Jalen Reagor. So why risk? I mean, it's a marathon, not a sprint. They say it all the time. You're not winning or losing the division or the Super Bowl in week 1.
You bring up a good point because it's a good parlay over into another Eagles player. You talked about the Washington football team. Sorry for that offensive language. The Eagles pretty much win in every physical matchup at every position group. I was reading a fantasy football magazine, and they called the Washington tight end room the worst in the league. They released Adrian Peterson and Darius Geis. They have a rookie running back, Wentz over Haskins. They're better at the skill positions. Their corners aren't good. But the one area where we could run into some trouble, they have a devastating pass rush. Lane Johnson has just completely disappeared. He got injured and he's been gone.
Look at that. Just limited.
So Vince is pulling up the injury report for us. John Clark always on top of it. So Alshon Jeffrey did not practice. Javon Hargrave did not practice. So they're likely out. And then limited was a few other names, including Jalen Reagor and Lane Johnson. So here's what I'll say about this. That is pretty promising, but I'm still skeptical about Lane Johnson. Here's why. He tweaked his ankle 3 weeks ago. All the other players who got hurt, like Miles Sanders, Javon Hargrave, even Reagor, they were still around the team. They'd still come to practice, rehab, work on the side fields. Even Alshon Jeffrey, who we knew wasn't starting week 1. Lane Johnson tweaked his ankle and had a better disappearing act than Gone Girl when the woman found out that Ben Affleck was banging Emily Ratajkowski on the side. And he just completely fell off the face of the earth. And then he was back limited today. That's a little bit skeptical to me. I'm a little bit sketched out by that.
Was he really limited, or was he just not there?
He was there physically and stood there and watched how a stepdad yells at a little league game and stands on the sideline. That was about his involvement in practice today. Was words of encouragement from the sideline.
Yeah, the only way the Washington football team wins this game is that defensive line of theirs just buries Carson Wentz. And I think for the 2 quarters probably that Jason Peters is going to be out there, I think Chase Young is just going to abuse him. Yeah,
I agree. I talked about all the advantages that the Eagles have. It doesn't matter if Deshaun Jackson burns the corners if Carson Wentz is on his ass.
Exactly.
But good that you brought Jason Peters up back at tackle. He is back at left tackle, at least for a quarter or 2.
What did we say? He's back.
He's back, baby.
Now, is he getting more money, or is he just going with the deal that they gave him?
He's going with the deal that they gave him for now.
Kind of had to. He had to.
Mm-hmm. You could see this coming a mile away. And here's my conspiracy theory. I'm big into conspiracy theories. I think that Lane Johnson is more hurt than they lead on. That's conspiracy theory number one. Conspiracy theory number two. I think that the reason they didn't switch Peters back automatically, money aside, was because they needed to know if Matt Pryor and Mulata could handle playing left tackle in a game, because we joke about it all the time, but it's true. Jason Peters plays like 3 series, falls on his ass, and is out for the rest of the game. So they needed to know if they had a substantial backup who could actually give them a few quarters.
Or he plays 3 series. He's on his ass, and he's out for 2 series, and then he comes back for a series, and then he's out for a series, and then he comes back for half a series, and then he's done for the game.
Yeah, he'll strain his bicep. He'll be winded. You've got to go to the locker room, take a shit. One way or another.
He's got sweat in his eyes. He's just. I think you're right, because you need to know everything about, especially younger players, and especially in this day and age where there was no preseason. You had to play those guys every single snap they could in camp and in practice, just to know, like, can they handle a real game situation?
Exactly. It's now or never with some of these guys. For Sidney Jones, it was never. And maybe if he had a preseason, he'd still be here. But without any other metric of how your performance is, it had to be training camp. So they had to put these guys in training camp in that sense, where they couldn't do it in a game for Pryor and Mulata, but they had to see them on the field, at least for left tackle. But then when it got down to the nitty gritty, it was week 1. Okay, now we're going against Chase Young, Matt Ioannidis, Ryan Kerrigan, Montez Sweat. Then all of a sudden it was like, okay, let's stop fucking around.
Yeah, we need some beef in there.
Yeah. So he'll be back. And Pryor, I think, is a better guard anyway. What's hilarious about Peters is they said he killed it at guard. So he might have ended up being a better guard than tackle, but
because he's an old, just mammoth man who, if he's in guard, he just has to be in one area. He doesn't have to kick out and worry about Chase Young sprinting around the edge. He can just be in his little area.
Yeah, you brought that up before. The one advantage that he has at this point in his career is size. He was a former tight end. Everyone knows the story. So he had quick feet, but he's now 38?
I joke that he's 49, but yeah.
It feels like that when he's down in the third quarter of every game. And you look out there and you're like, okay, Jason Peters is out again. Who do we have at backup tackle today? So Vince loves the old dog analogy, and he's saying, so maybe you can teach an old dog new tricks. You can put him over and shift him over to guard, and maybe he can figure it out.
But not an old dog that can't use his back legs.
He can't, yeah, pretty much. That's where he's at in his life, and we loved him for the family dog that he was. It's about time to put him down. But you know what? They're going to have to rely on him again, and I hope they saw what they needed to see from Matt Pryor and Mulata over there at left tackle. But if not, Carson could be on his ass a lot, and we're going to find out really quick week 1.
All right, over under 4 sacks for Carson Wentz week 1.
I'm going to go under.
Okay.
Because I think if they get out to an early lead, which they did not last year, they love time of possession.
Mm-hmm.
They love getting a running game going in the second half. I don't know the health of Miles Sanders, but if they could push the ball down the Redskins' throat with a 2-touchdown lead, I know as pass happy as Doug Peterson is, he also likes ball control. So I'm going to go under.
Doug's a smart coach. He knows what players are out there, and he knows the injuries. Yeah, so he's not going to be stupid.
Very good point. He's good at playing to strengths. He knows where the strengths lie, and it's pretty much everywhere except for the trenches.
Exactly.
So the worst case scenario for the Eagles is they have a start like last year where they let the Redskins go up 2 touchdowns early and let these guys on the defensive line for the Redskins pin their ears back and just come after Wentz. That's the worst case scenario. So we'll see if we can avoid that, but we'll see. At least
go Washington football team.
Oh, I don't want to hear it. We'll get into you out there with your new stadium for the Rams.
So we talking to little boys then?
Let's get into it. I mean, we might as well with, like I said, new stadium out there in LA.
Yeah. So I said it on another branded show, but it was kind of so predictable, especially when you saw that, the Cowboys were going to be playing the Rams this year, that the Cowboys were going to be opening up that stadium. Obviously, the NFL wanted it with a slammed house of fans from Los Angeles. It would have been, 87% Dallas Cowboys fans, I think.
Absolutely.
But a primetime game on Sunday night, opening this massive, unbelievable stadium in Los Angeles. What better team to bring in to play the Rams than the Dallas Cowboys? Because when the Cowboys are on TV, especially in prime time, I don't care if you love them. I don't care if you hate them. They are a ratings bonanza, and they draw eyeballs. Now, they may be drawing a few less eyeballs this year because they're going to kneel for the national anthem, but that's something that I'm not here to talk about. The players can do whatever they want. They're going to pull the ratings. So, yes, the Cowboys are going to be playing Sunday night in Los Angeles. And like I said on another podcast, I was at the Cowboys opening stadium game against the Giants. And it broke my heart. Eli Manning came down the field. They hit a field goal. And the Giants beat the Cowboys in front of 110,000 of us. I just feel like big stadium openings always are the perfect setting for just fan-crushing upsets. Just is. So it's a 2.5 point favorite, I think the Cowboys are, which I don't love them being a favorite going out there. But I do feel like this game can go any way, but I'm very excited for what the Cowboys can bring against this Rams team.
See, I am the opposite of you. I think when a team opens a stadium, I give them the natural edge. There's just an energy of playing in your first game in your home stadium. And I know there won't be fans, and it's going to be hard to judge that. I'm glad the ACC gets started on Saturday. So we're going to have an idea of what fanless football games are going to look like. I'm Syracused out today for the start of, we've got the ACC starting this week in college football. So even without fans, I love teams when they open their stadium. I am so excited.
I just have a feeling that this Rams team is going to be hyped up beyond belief and try and overhype themselves because there aren't going to be fans, that they're going to leave themselves exposed.
Well, we play them the first 2 weeks. So they go home against the Cowboys and then away against the Eagles. So we're going to find out right away what that team is all about. So I think, I don't know. I'm against you. I think there's just a certain energy when you play at home in your first game in your new stadium that you just have it. You just have that extra it factor. And I know there's no fans, but I'll say maybe it's just bias. Maybe it's just because I root against the Cowboys in everything in life. But I feel like I don't know. I'm just really strong on the Rams. And another thing is probably because I don't see a team going 0-2 that is that talented. So if they don't beat the Cowboys, they're going to come in with an extra edge against the Eagles. So I just maybe I don't think they'll win. I just need them to win.
That's another reason why I want the Cowboys to win, because I want that Rams team that's just like sugar on top of the cake. I want the Rams team heading to Philadelphia week 2, 0-1.
That, yes, they'll have an extra chip on their shoulder. They cannot go down 0-2 in that division. Should we get into division winners then? Speaking of that,
I was just going to say the Cowboys, just one other. So Randy Gregory, we've talked about him in the past. He is back. He's reinstated. Cowboys also signed him to a 1-year extension. However, he does have to serve a 6-game suspension, so they won't get him until week 7. But just adding him to that already impressive defensive line, besides Gerald McCoy, I mean, it's going to be bananas. And the unofficial depth chart came out this week. I didn't really pay attention if that also came out in Philadelphia, but the Cowboys fans lost their minds. It's just like, I don't buy into these things. I feel like Mike McCarthy's having an intern just be like, here are some names, just throw them on. I just don't give a shit about this. Go write these names down somewhere. Just make sure, Zeke's not 4th on the running back depth chart and put it on the internet. Yeah. Trayvon Diggs and Anthony Brown are the top 2 corners, and Chidobe Awuzie was 3rd, and people are losing their minds. So I just, that's what I want to ask. Do Philly fans get into those kind of things, or is it more of like, we'll see what happens on Sunday?
I mean, they do. We freak out over every freaking thing. So, but I don't think there were any surprises on our depth chart this year. So it didn't, I don't think it ruffled as much feathers as it could have. So the big thing was we have a fourth quarterback who lives in Texas and makes 12 grand. That kind of distracted from the unofficial depth chart. So I think if that didn't happen, there would have been more pitchforks and torches about the depth chart. But so ours wasn't that bad.
Okay. And last prediction for today for me, Earl Thomas will be a Dallas Cowboy with a star on his helmet after week 1. When contracts are signed after week 1, they are not guaranteed. So he could play one game for the Dallas Cowboys, get into a big sex orgy with Jerry Jones's granddaughters. I don't know if he has granddaughters, and they can release him the next day.
Yeah. I could definitely see that. You know what I could see? Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp have over 200 receiving yards combined, and Cowboys panic move, think Earl Thomas is the solution to every problem, and all of a sudden he's on your team week 2. And it could be a blessing, could be a curse. Who knows? But I think that's another solid prediction from you on a hot streak.
Let's go.
All right. So before we get into division predictions, let's talk about Bovada. I think this is the perfect place to talk about it because we are here. Like we said, football is finally back. So it's the perfect time to start betting with Bovada. We talked about it last week where every sport is going on right now, but let's focus on football this week. The best week of betting is that first week of football. Every game looks good. Every bet looks like a winner. This year, for that first week, when you are hyped up and ready to gamble, bet with Bovada. As always, in every promo link we have for this podcast, we will have the link to Bovada. We will have it on YouTube. We will have it in the podcast description. Try it out. Chiefs Texans starting us off. Chiefs are 9.5. How do you feel about that? A lot of great games this week. We're going to get into our predictions right now.
Yep.
One other thing we said on the Locks show tonight that Kmess was on. He had some great picks. We have not had at Brandon on that show, have not gone under 500 yet. So if you just took our picks, you would win money every single time. If you just watched that show and then bet it on Bovada, you would make money every single time. So bet with Bovada starting this week with the return of football.
Use the branded bets when you bet with Bovada. Boom.
Boom. All right. So before we get into that, let's give the people a pick. You want to do that? We'll give them one each. Do you want to start?
Sure. So I was looking at these games right this week, and there's a couple that you could go with. Obviously, I love the one that you're going with, especially for other reasons than just what it is. But I'm going with the one of the two. Actually, I guess we're both going with the Monday night games. I am going with the Steelers Giants in New Jersey. The Steelers are -5.5, and I feel like they're going to bludgeon the Giants. I'm not buying into people saying the Giants are going to be better than they are. I feel like Daniel Jones could take a next step. He does have, like, Darius Slayton was very good last year. Golden Tate's going to be back. I feel like he's going to be able to sling it around, but I feel like their defense is going to be so bad that he is just going to get bludgeoned, and they're not going to be able to run the ball as much as they want with Saquon. And I just feel like this Steelers defense also could be one of the best in the league this year. That Fitzpatrick trade is coming out to be unbelievable. I would kill to have Mink on the Cowboys right now. So I feel like the Steelers are just going to go old school bludgeoning of the New York Giants on Monday night at 7:15.
I think that's a great pick from you. Big Ben back. Pretty much the only thing missing from that Steelers offense last year was a reasonable quarterback who could do anything.
Yep.
If they even had an average quarterback last year, they would have won some games and probably made the playoffs. They were one game away from making the playoffs as a wild card, even without Big Ben.
It's incredible.
The defense is going to be great. You brought up the Giants, how they are as a team. They've got great skill position guys. I agree. Daniel Jones takes that next step, but the offensive line kills them every single year. We've seen this movie every single time. It's like every horror movie ever. You know what's going to happen. The two characters who are in love are going to make it to the end, and they're going to be the two that defeat the villain, and everyone else is going to die. We've seen the movie every single year. Every time. So great pick on yours.
Awesome.
There you go.
Let's
All right.
go. Who you got?
So for mine, this one's going to be interesting.
Joe.
CEO Joe, founder of Branded, wrote a blog today and said the easiest pick of all time is Broncos plus 2.5 on Monday Night Football. Couldn't be more wrong.
Tell me why.
Titans, Monday night. They're the second game after your game, Steelers-Giants.
Yep.
I don't like the Broncos in this game. And I have a ton of reasons. So I think Drew Lock and the Broncos are going to be good, just not yet. They're starting 2 rookie receivers. And if you look at the stats from last year, Courtland Sutton and Drew Lock really didn't have that great of a connection despite Sutton's breakout season. It just didn't happen with Drew Lock.
Yep.
It's going to take a while for them to build that chemistry. And then no Von Miller, so he's out. And then one of the things that he brought up was the elevation there in Denver. Okay, so they still have to tackle Derrick Henry for 4 quarters in that elevation with a lack of oxygen. That's almost impossible. People can't do it at sea level. They can't do it below sea level. You can play underwater at the top of a mountain. It doesn't matter. You can't tackle that guy. It's just not going to happen. They just signed Clowney a week ago. I think it boosts their defense.
Yep.
I think this is going to be a classic Titans game where the second Monday night game isn't the most exciting game of the NFL season. I think it's just going to be pretty much what we saw on the run to the playoffs last year for the Titans. They're going to run it down the Broncos' throat. The Broncos will get there, just not yet. Titans, they're minus 2.5. I think they cover the spread.
Oh, and don't forget the blow that Denver just got in losing Von Miller for the year. Don't tell me physically on the field that's not going to hurt them, and emotionally in this team's head. Like, we just lost the leader of our defense for the entire season. Yeah. And now we have to go tackle Derrick Henry for 4 quarters.
It's just not only physically deflating, but mentally deflating. Having 100%. To deal with that. Like you said, he's a captain. He would have been named captain of the team instead. And it was one of those things, last play of practice, he goes down on one of the last practices before the season. That's devastating. And then you have to turn around. And maybe if there were fans that first Monday Night Football game, a little extra electricity in the crowd, maybe I would have given the Broncos a chance. No, I'm taking the Titans.
You ever notice the Broncos fans, if you're listening on TV, well, they may now, you not, but they're apparently the NFL is pumping in sound in every stadium that is relevant to that team. So you're actually going to hear like normal chants and stuff. But have you ever been listening to a Broncos game and incomplete every single time the ball hits the ground? I hate it.
Every single incomplete pass. It's horrible. There was an Eagles game back in the TO season when we went to the Super Bowl. One of our losses was to the Broncos, and we were down late in the second half. So we were throwing every single play. So every single play. Incomplete.
How does that even start?
Oh, you hear it in your dreams. Brutal. But yeah, so that's my pick for that. And then so there you go. Take our picks, put it on Bovada. We'll win you some money. Thank us later with a 5-star review on Apple.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Are we doing since we are right at the start of the season, I feel like we need to make picks for the divisions and hold each other accountable because this is an overall football show, not just birds and boys. So let's pick division winners for every division, AFC and NFC, and hold ourselves accountable through this entire season.
That's a good idea.
So let's go AFC to start. Let's go AFC East. Give me your winner, and I'll give you mine.
Okay, so I have the Patriots, and I know everyone's going to say, oh, this might be the Bills' year. Oh, the Dolphins up and coming. Fitzmagic. Tua's going to take over. No. It's just going to be the same. And I don't think the Patriots won a Super Bowl this year, but I still think they're the best team in the division. Cam has a little bit left in the tank. You got to see someone else do it before you believe it. I got to see somebody else win this division first before I believe in anyone other than the Patriots.
Nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. I'm not telling you why I'm picking them. I'm just picking them because I don't want the Patriots. And I feel like Josh Allen can make the next step to being, I don't want to say elite, but in that second tier of quarterbacks in the NFL this year. Buffalo Bills in the East.
I like your reasoning, just not the Patriots. So I respect the hell out of that. So I'll take it. I'll take that one. All right. What division you have next?
All right, AFC North.
I have your Bovada pick of the week. So I have the Steelers.
Okay.
And I know the Ravens are a hot team. Lamar Jackson, reigning MVP. They're going to be good. Probably going to be a wild card. You brought it up. The Steelers defense might be the best defense in the league. All they needed was slightly adequate quarterback play, and they would have been all right.
Yep.
And on top of that, James Conner and Juju Smith-Schuster both got hurt. So if they just had those guys for a full 16-game slate, they are easily in the playoffs last year. They're all back. Deontay Johnson takes the next step as a wide receiver. I think that offense will be much improved over Duck Hodges. So I'm going Steelers.
Okay. I'm right there with you. But I'm going to go Ravens. And it's tiny. It's Ravens win the division, Steelers are in the wild card, or flip-flop. I could literally flip a coin and be good with either of them. I think Lamar Jackson is just going to keep on Lamar Jacksoning. I feel like they stole Dobbins to go with Ingram. How the heck? I keep forgetting they drafted Patrick Queen. Like every single year, you just look up and they have one of the best drafts in the NFL, and you're like, how the hell did the other teams let them do this?
I think I'm right there. I think that all the time. You know what it is? It's their draft strategy. They watch guys play in college and they don't, what's their wingspan? What's their cone shuttle? What's their 40-yard dash? What's their 20-yard dash? How big are their pinkies? They just pick people who are fucking good at football. It's not hard. Just pick people.
Watch with your eyes. Yeah. Patrick Queen dominated at LSU as a linebacker, and he's going to go to basically like linebacker U in Baltimore, and I'm sure Ray Lewis is already there in his ear helping him out. Mm-hmm. Don't kill a guy, Patrick Queen, but play good football.
Just play good, clean football.
So I'm going to go with the Ravens. I also feel like Lamar Jackson's going to have a better connection even with Hollywood Brown this year, and he's taking his next step. So I think it's going to be close, but I'm going Ravens.
Oof. I'll go Steelers. I'm glad we have a point of contention, but I think both make the playoffs. I agree with Hollywood Brown. Apparently he played with a plate in his foot last year. That sounds horrible. So I feel like he might be faster without a piece of metal sticking out of his foot.
I would assume so.
Good pick on yours. All right, next division. Let's get it.
South, AFC South.
Colts. I think everyone here in Philadelphia has seen what Frank Reich can do. Phillip Rivers, as funny as he is, and I will definitely miss the Chargers being down 2 touchdowns at 5 o'clock when I wake up from a nap. But he's an upgrade over Jacoby Brissett. I think they have one of the best offensive lines in the league. They are, I think they have a pretty good, speaking of rookie running backs, Jonathan Taylor, Marlon Mack, good two-headed duo there in the backfield. I think they'll be pretty good with ball control and running it down people's throats.
We're back to agreeing because I'm going with the Colts as well. We've talked about Phillip Rivers being that lunch pail guy. Like he's got 19 kids with the same woman. He's like a Mormon. Indy it just fits him. You know, he doesn't have to be flashy in San Diego or in LA anymore. He's not going to be throwing 20 interceptions this year because he's not going to have to chuck the ball like that all the time. Frank Reich's going to be in his ear. Like you said, Frank Reich is a big reason that the Eagles won that Super Bowl. I feel like he was the best coach coming out of Philadelphia to land a job. So I feel like this Indy team, Quentin Nelson is probably the best guard in the league. Mm-hmm. Leonard, it could be the best linebacker in the league. They're going to ball. They're going to bring Indy back to what Indy football we've known for so long for them to be.
I agree. Phillip Rivers won't never buy a steak again in Indianapolis. Exactly. That's all you can hope for as a man, I guess.
All right, AFC West. Should we just say the same team on 3? 1, 2, 3, Chiefs?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not even going to explain it. not even going to explain it. All right. So let's go to the NFC. Okay. We're going to save the NFC East for last.
Fair.
So let's go NFC North to start.
I have the Packers. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to play like a man on fire. He's been given all the motivation in the world Devontae Adams missed a chunk of games last year with a toe injury. They're going to have him back and healthy, and their defense is pretty slept on. They're pretty good as a defense. I just, the Bears with Mitchell Trubisky, can't see it. The Lions, you can't see it. The Vikings did improve. They got Yannick last week, but I'm not going to pick Kirk Cousins over Aaron Rodgers. I'm just not going to do it. You don't win and you don't make solid logical predictions doing that. You just don't. So I'm going Packers.
And that's why I'm going Vikings.
Oh,
like I said, I feel like
it would do that.
Me, this idiot. I mean, them getting Yannick, I really feel like the Vikings are pretty stacked. They have a very underrated good team this year. And I feel like no fans in the stands or less fans in the stands is going to help Kirk Cousins. And I am going Skull. Vikings to win that division.
He is what he is. He is what he is.
We let him off the hook.
He is
He is what it is. And Aaron Rodgers is getting old. Moving on. NFC South.
I think this is a pretty contentious one across the board for everybody, but I'm going Saints. I think they're the most talented team in the league, and very underrated point. I think they realize that this is it. This might be that Drew Brees is getting up there, and I think they might realize this is the chance. You can't have as many heartbreaking losses in the playoffs as they've had without having some sort of roster turnover if it continues. If they get swept in the regular season by Tampa Bay, by the Bucks, something like that, I just don't think that they can continue. I think they realize this is the chance. Franchise. Yeah, this is it. This is your last chance.
I'm with you on this one. I'm going Saints. I think they're cohesive. They've been together for a long time. The Bucks they could be the Philadelphia Eagle dream team. They just keep bringing guys in with big names. I feel like they're going to make the playoffs. Tampa could be a wild card team. There's 3 wild cards in each this year, so Tampa could win the wild card. But I am still going with Sean Payton, even though he looks like he's dying and he looks like a shriveled up penis. I don't know what's happening with him there. He did have coronavirus, so I don't want to be too hard on him. That's not Sean Payton. I feel like that is his wax figure at Madame Tussauds. Because that's not him. But I'm going with the Saints.
Gotcha. Yep. I think Bucks are the flashy pick. Saints are the talented team.
NFC West.
I'm going Seahawks. I think 49ers take a step back. They've been dealing with injuries all offseason long. This offseason is all about experience. And just having Russell Wilson under center in an offseason like this is so key. DK Metcalf in year 2, they're pretty much bringing everybody back. Chris Carson's healthy again. Tyler Lockett's healthy again. And even without the 12th man, I'm going Seahawks.
Going Seahawks as well. I feel like the Niners are the flashy pick, but I feel like they're going to take us. They got a lot of injuries. Richard Sherman's 100 years old. I can't wait for Marshawn Lynch to be there in week 14. I feel like the Seahawks are the best team in the division because I feel like Lockett and DK are going to be problems. And never, ever, ever, ever count out Russell Wilson.
Yeah, that's why I picked him. And now that we've said this, the Rams will beat both of our teams and be 2-0 after week 2. So,
it's unbelievable. All right. The NFC East.
This is it.
Give me your pick and your reason why, and I think we know what it's going to be.
Yep, let's go with the Giants here. No, hell no. Eagles probably 11-5 or 19-0. I don't know. Probably either one of those. Probably 19-0. Carson takes a step forward. I am so excited. Just keep him upright. If the offensive line can hold up and not get injured doing more conditioning drills, we'll be fine. Like I've mentioned, Jalen Reagor is the next Julio Jones, or Julio Jones is the next Jalen Reagor. Who knows at this point? Jalen Reagor practiced today, So just keep that in mind.
So you mean Julio Jones practiced today?
He might have. So once again, Julio Jones just copying everything Jalen Reagor does. We finally have a quarterback who has opposable thumbs and can run straight, so that's great. I think he'll be fantastic. One of the best defensive lines in the league. Zach Ertz on a mission. Dallas Goedert's probably also a top 15 tight end as well. The Cowboys won't be a slouch. I think, like we talked about, they'll be in shootouts all the time, but it won't stop us from going 19-0 and winning every game by 42 points.
Dallas Cowboys win the division. I feel like both these teams can be 9-7, 10-6. I'm going to be logical here. You're going to go off the roof. I know I'm logic. Both teams could be 9-7. Both teams could be 10-6. I feel like it's going to be close, down to the wire this season. Both teams are good. I'm going to give the Eagles a slight edge in offense. I think overall, I think the Cowboys are going to be more flashy, but I feel like the Eagles' offense may be a little more practical. However, this season, when they play each other, the last game they play each other is in Dallas this year. It's not in Philly. Usually they play Philly later in the season, Christmas Eve-ish. It's snowing. Fans are throwing everything at them and screaming. No, this year it's in Dallas, and there are going to be fans there. And I think that's a big advantage.
Which is bullshit, but keep going.
It is. It is bullshit. But I feel like it's an advantage, and that is exactly why I'm picking the Dallas Cowboys in a slight division win, like 10-6 to 9-7.
I think they're both going to be good. And I think it could be a situation where one is 11-5 and the other is 10-6, and you have a wild card team who might have a better record than somebody who wins a division.
Yep.
Look, life's too short to think with reason. Jalen Reagor's winning Rookie of the Year. I cannot wait.
CD Lamb. I'm gonna find a video of you crying again.
Never heard of him.
Scream.
Never heard of him.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, this is a little bit different. This isn't the Texas secondary who's just four guys without opposable thumbs running backwards all the time and they're pretty much a JV high school team. This is the NFL. Darius Slay, Avonte Maddox, even though he's like 5'3", we're ready. We are so ready. I can't wait. Like I said, logic, it's football season. So that means logic and reason is out the window. Done. Don't need it. It's time to think with emotions and heart and nothing else.
Dallas Cowboys win the division.
Not a chance. And here we are. We're ready.
We said the new platform is going to be 30 to 40, 45 minutes. We're at 42 minutes. I'm pretty impressed with us, the first platform of us doing this. Like we said, football is here. We're ready to roll. We have a lot of guests coming up. We're going 2 shows a week. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us everywhere. I'm Kmess22. Tell your friends. Tell your family. It's a podcast for everybody who loves football, not just Cowboys and Eagles fans.
By the time we talk to you next and we start our new format, the helmets will be on. The pads will be on. The
players
will be on the field. We'll be ready.
I can't wait for Thursday night. I can't wait for Carrie Underwood Sunday night. There's gonna be a new song. I'm ready to go.
I cannot. This is it. We're ready for all the things that we love. Patrick Mahomes throwing sidearm TDs. Like you said, the Carrie Underwood song. Jason Peters getting hurt in the first quarter. All of our favorite things are back. We're excited to share it with you, and we'll be back next week with not one but 2 shows recapping week 1 of the NFL season. We made it. And if we just make it a few more days, we'll be ready for week 2.
And I'm officially drafting while I'm podcasting. Second overall pick,
Christian McCaffrey.
Zeke Elliott.
Oh. And that's that.
See you later.